and thank you so much for taking the time to join this session and learn more about our Patient Safety Research Development Award. So this session is really an information session. So the idea is that you can learn more about the award, hopefully supplement what you might have already read or heard from other people. And then there's an opportunity to ask questions either during the session. If you wish, you can put something in the chat box or raise your hand, and Louise will be keeping a lookout for anyone who does have questions, or you can save them for the end because we will have a dedicated Q&A session after I finished here. So just wanted to introduce the award team. So obviously you can see me. I'm Richard Kears. I'm a senior lecturer in pharmacy at the University of Manchester, and I'm also the academic career development lead for the Greater Manchester Patient Safety Collaboration. We also have, I think Maria's on the call. I don't know if you'd like to introduce yourself, Maria.
Yes, thank you very much, Richard. I'm Maria Panagioti. I'm a professor of health services and mental health in the Center for Primary Care and Health Services Research, and I'm deputy lead of the academic career development scheme within the NIHR Greater Manchester PSRC.
Fabulous. Thank you very much, Maria. And we also have Louise Gorman, who I've already mentioned. But Louise, do you want to formally introduce yourself to the group?
Hello, everyone. I'm Louise Gorman. I'm the Public and Community Involvement and Engagement Manager and the EDI Manager at GM PSRC.
Fabulous. Thank you both. So between us three, we're launching and we're managing this award. So you might hear from us in future if, of course, you pursue your application. You might hear a lot more from us over the coming months. But of course, in the meantime, if you've got any questions today, we'll be more than happy to help you. And equally, if you submit questions via email, I'll put the email at the end for our GM PSRC. It'll probably be one of us who gets back to you about that. So what we're going to cover in the presentation, we're going to cover what the award is and what the purpose of it is. We're going to cover who may be eligible to apply for it, what will involve if your application is successful, and then more about how you actually apply for it and what the timelines are to do this, and then a question and answer session. And as I've said already, apologies, the formatting's a bit skew-iffy on my slides. You could raise your hand and use the chat box if you've got questions during the presentation. If you prefer, you can wait till the end when I've already mentioned we'll be turning the recording off and we'll proceed with a Q&A session then. So why have we developed this award? So we know that as professionals working in lots of different settings, supporting people, caring for people, we might have an interest and a passion in research. We might have already undertaken some work or some training or worked with other colleagues in this area, or it might just be a general interest of ours. So we'll all vary in terms of the things we're interested in and the amount of experience we'll have. And those are in the red boxes on the screen. But what often we might find more challenging is finding the time, and certainly perhaps protected time, to dedicate to carrying out research, applying for funding to do research, and pursuing further training. The funding that goes with that, not only for our time, but also for things like any training courses, or if we would like to consult with members of the public and patients about the work that we're doing. The skills and training, so how do we go about obtaining those, developing those, paying for the courses, things like that. And of course, supervision and support, so working with people who are experienced in research, in patient safety research and who can support us on our journey to achieving our goals in this area and developing our careers. So hopefully this is where our Patient Safety Research Development Award can bridge the gap by addressing these areas in blue. And at the Greater Manchester PSRC, we're really committed to making the health and care systems that we all work in safer by identifying and developing the next generation of researchers, which might be you, across the Northwest and the East Midlands regions. And we're really focused, particularly in the academic career development team and the equality, diversity and inclusion team, around building capacity, and helping people to take the next step in their journey to become a patient safety researcher of the future. And by doing so, we hope to offer tailored support and give you that protected time that you need, particularly to develop competitive funding applications so you can then pursue your ambitions in patient safety research. And we want to try and attract people from diverse communities, diverse professions. And hopefully you've already had a look at our website and you'll see that we are interested in a whole range of different professions to come forward for this award and apply for it. So what's the aim of the award that we're offering? So we want to provide you as applicants with protected time and supervision from our Greater Manchester Patient Safety Research Collaboration team, so you can prepare a funding application to the NIHR Career Development Award or Fellowship Scheme, or another equivalent award, for example, such as the NIHR 3 Schools programme. So the whole idea of this is to give you that funding and protected time in order to write up an application that will then take you on your journey in the future. And of course, linked to writing this application is then pursuing your interest in patient safety research, because that's what, by working with us, your application would be based around. And your passion, therefore, could be fulfilled in trying to improve and drive safety improvement in your local work environment and for, people using your services. And alongside that, of course, it's developing your knowledge and skills in patient safety research so you can complete that application to a high standard. You can really articulate what you would like to do as part of your future research. And it might even be that as part of the award that you undertake with us, you get involved in some research that can really help you develop those skills and help you to write that application. So when I talk about the NIHR Career Development Awards, what do I mean? Well, some of you might be familiar with these, but some of you less so. These are flexible academic funding programs. And the idea is that you combine your clinical training or your practice, your professional practice in wherever you're working, alongside developing your research career and pursuing research and qualifications in research. And there are different levels to this. Now, you can see here the ones in red are those that are in scope for our Patient Safety Development Award. So when you submit your application, we'll want to see evidence that you're going to apply for one of these 4 different areas, these 4 different levels of award during your placement with us if you were successful in your application. You can see here there are pre-doctoral awards, postdoctoral awards, doctoral awards. So you would do a PhD with a doctoral award, and then you've got postdoctoral awards, and then senior investigator or professorship awards. And you can find out more information on the NIHR website. If you go on our own Patient Safety Research Development Award website, we link directly to these pages as well, so you can find out more there. And just to illustrate here, this is a slide from the NIHR, and you can see here some of the different schemes they offer at pre-doctoral, doctoral and postdoctoral level. So you can see here you've got local authority fellowships, for example, that might be for individuals who are not clinical, as well as the clinical awards. So it's really important that you take a look at what the NIHR is offering for these career development awards. You might also look at alternative schemes like the 3 Schools awards, just to see if you're eligible, what these things involve, and what it might mean to apply for them. So you can see here what normally happens in these career development awards from the NIHR is they give you that time. So they offer salary and other research costs as part of the award. So they allow you to focus on research. So that might be carrying out projects of your own, and they also provide funding for training. So you'll articulate in your application what training plans you've developed as part of that in order to enable you to carry out your research and pursue your career goals. And in the application, you've also got to sell your career journey. So, where do you see yourself in future? How is the NIHR award that you're applying to going to help you on that journey in the future? So you can see here the different levels. For example, those pre-doctoral awards I talked about before, they might include things like obtaining a master's or helping you to prepare for a PhD application. The doctoral award, of course, that includes completing PhD studies as part of a PhD application. A PhD award. And at postdoctoral level, this might be bridging that gap between completing your PhD and becoming a self-sustained researcher of the future. So that might include you undertaking a placement, further training, mentoring, carrying out research projects and developing new skills. And of course, you can see the Senior Professor Award there. That's having further funding in order to continue leadership roles in the NIHR and continuing to develop staff and develop your own projects. And of course, when you go online, you can find out and read all about these different levels of award and see which ones might be suitable for you and your current career stage. Oh, Louise, yeah, was that your hand up I saw then?
It was. I'm sorry, my camera's not working at the moment. We just have a quick question. I thought it might be a good opportune moment to ask this. Would the Development and Skills Enhancement Award be considered a relevant postdoc award, or is that out of scope?
No, I think that's very much in scope. It's basically any of the NIHR Career Development Awards that are suitable for your career stage where you're at, so you'd feel you've got a good chance of being eligible for that and a good chance of a successful application. And certainly at postdoctoral level, that includes the DSC, Development of Skills Enhancement Award. Now, I should mention actually that the slide I showed you previously, let's see if I can actually get back to it. There you go. This slide, the NIHR have basically this week announced that they are trying to simplify their pre-doctoral, doctoral and postdoctoral award pathways. So you might see some changes to their website over the coming weeks, but essentially these are the awards within each stage that are available. I don't know why the DSC award is not under the postdoctoral award, but my understanding is if they're going to continue that award, then it would be eligible as part of our award, if you see what I mean. So hopefully that answers your question. I'm sorry I can't see questions. All I can see is my slide and not much else. So thank you, Louise, for bringing that question in.
No problem.
So I think it comes back to my point I made earlier, is always have your eye on the NIHR Career Development Award website, see what they're offering, when are these rounds going to open again, and are you potentially eligible for one of these, and work with your proposed supervisors for the award with us to think about how you're going to produce that application. So let's talk a little bit more about who is eligible to apply for our Patient Safety Research Development Award. So here is a summary of who is eligible. So are you based in the Northwest or East Midlands regions? So that makes you eligible. That's quite a wide footprint. So hopefully that's quite inclusive and there are lots of individuals who would find themselves eligible. I'm already getting queries from individuals who may have more than one role in different organizations. And I know that's quite common to have this kind of more portfolio style working approach. And I don't think that's a problem, provided that at least one of these organizations, and I think ideally yourself, is based in either the Northwest or East Midlands, then I think that should be fine. Then, of course, we've got diverse working environments. So we don't really stipulate where it is that you need to be working, other than ideally, of course, being in the Northwest or East Midlands regions, because, those are the areas that our patient safety research collaboration looks after. If you're based in another region, for example, Yorkshire and Humber, London area, for example, Northeast, Newcastle way, then, and you're here at this meeting, or you've got colleagues who are based in those areas, they have their own patient safety research collaborations who may be launching or have launched a similar scheme to ours. So it's always worth checking out the patient safety research collaboration in different areas of the country to see whether they have their own scheme. So diverse working environments. So you might work in local authority, you might work in a university, you might work in a hospital, primary care. It's that's fine from our point of view, but you need to have that passion for improving patient safety and making a difference to the care of patients in the area where you work or specialize. We do require applicants to have some research experience. So we welcome applications from people at pre-doctoral, doctoral, postdoctoral and senior level. This is all about you getting time to pursue an NIHR Career Development Award at your career stage. So that means that, for example, if you're applying for a postdoctoral award, then we would expect to see in your application some research experience that is commensurate with the level of award that you're applying to. Okay. Even at pre-doctoral award, it may be that perhaps you don't have much patient safety research experience, or maybe you've got some initial projects you've been involved with, something that might be more local or small scale. That's okay. You can put that in. However, it may be that individuals who have absolutely no research experience at all may be better looking at the NIHR internship programs or similar, because we would like individuals to apply for this who do have some research experience. I think I saw a hand go up. A little alert came on my screen. I don't know if someone has a question.
We do, from Sally.
Thanks. Sorry, apologies for joining late. I was actually at our Patient Safety Improvement Framework meeting. Around the postdoc award, is there an expectation that your PhD research will have had an element of patient safety in that?
That's an interesting one. I wouldn't necessarily say there's an expectation that the PhD work did. If it didn't, then maybe the applicant could showcase how some other research activity they've been involved in has a patient safety angle. We welcome applications from people at different stages of their patient safety research journey. But I think there is an expectation that even if someone's not done very much patient safety research, they may have done a little. So they may have perhaps been involved in their first project, or maybe they're helping someone else out with something, their own project. But we would expect someone to have some experience. Now, it doesn't have to be a lot, but if someone has absolutely no experience whatsoever in research, then it might be that an internship through the NIHR, or for example through other schemes. So I know, for example, NHS R&D have an internship as well. That might be an initial good first step for them. But for us, we will require some research experience that's relevant to the application.
Okay.
Is that helpful, Sally? So
yeah, it is. Just thinking from a clinical academic point of view. So clinically, somebody may be heavily embedded in actual delivery of patient safety. They may be at a postdoc level and have lots of research experience, for example, being a research nurse for years before doing a PhD. And for me, it's that kind of clinical academic bit that's important from a patient safety point of view. So,
Absolutely.
You've got the research experience through PhD, etc. But in that clinical role, you are kind of leading on behalf of the division or directorate or whatever on patient safety.
Yeah, and that's perfect in the sense that individuals doing that kind of work will no doubt have been involved in projects, and it doesn't matter if it's a local project, that can be part of the application. They might have taken that work to conference to showcase the work that they've done around patient safety, and that's absolutely the kind of thing we'd like to see in the applications.
Cool, that's helpful. Thanks.
Yeah, and of course that research background, postdoctoral research, particularly of course if it's relevant to the work they're doing now, for example, it might be healthcare related background in research, then that's great as well. That really sets them up nicely for applying for these NIHR Career Development Awards. And I think that's something I should really stress, is that, this is all about buying time for people to complete one of these applications. So I think it's really important for any potential applicant to have a look at the NIHR Career Development Award website and see what's involved in these applications, because ultimately that's what they'll be spending a lot of their time doing while they're on their placement with us if they're successful. So it's important they're clear on which awards they might be eligible for and how confident they feel in being able to apply for that.
No, that's really helpful. Thank you.
No worries at all. And as I've already covered the different career stages bit, just because of all the stuff we've just talked about. And of course, ultimately the goal is to apply for this Career Development Award from the NIHR or an equivalent scheme. And again, you can discuss that with your proposed supervisors who you've identified off our website. And if you've got any questions, of course, you can get in touch with us about if you've identified another funding stream that you're interested in and would that be eligible? We'd love to hear about that as well. Okay, so here is a list of eligible professions. Now, there's quite a few, so I won't go through every one individually, but you can see here, there's a whole range of allied health professionals, and this is all on our website as well. Pharmacy professionals, nurses and midwives, healthcare scientists, researchers in methodology. So for example, that might be clinical trial specialist, it might be a health economist, local authority professionals, as well, so people who might work for local authorities or organisations who do local authority work, social work and public health professionals as well. So we're really trying to capture a wide variety of individuals to apply for this. Just to note, medical professionals, so doctors, they're not eligible for this award, but the NIHR may have alternative schemes open. This is for professionals identified by the NIHR as underrepresented in research. So we need more individuals from these backgrounds to get involved in research, and this is where this list has come from. Okay, so what would the award involve if we're successful? So if you're successful, you'll join us at the PSRC. With the particular team you specify in your application, and we'll fund your salary up to 1 or 2 days a week over a time period of up to 12 months. And of course, that will vary depending on what your needs are, what you agree with your line manager and your supervisors, and also what the funding will enable you to do. So the funding is up to £15,000 over this placement period, and it covers your salary as backfill, relevant training activities that you would want to undertake, and any public and community involvement and engagement costs. So it's important you think about these different costs and approximately, how much are you going to need for these different activities, because salary will take up quite a lot of this cost. So it's important you don't forget the training and public involvement costs. The award does not fund tuition fees. So if you wanted to undertake a qualification, the award money does not fund that. And it only funds your salary time as an applicant. It won't fund anyone else's salary. And it doesn't fund equipment costs either. So you hopefully got a good idea of what it will and will not fund. So, of course, what will you do during the award? The priority is to prepare that funding application. And that can be at different levels, as I've already talked about, depending on your needs. You'll work with your team and your supervisors in the department you're in, and they'll provide you with the supervision, support and mentorship that you need in order to develop this application. You'll agree your objectives early and set some activities that you could do during your placement in order to help you prepare this application. There might be some, for example, training needs, further support needs. You might get involved in ongoing safety projects within the PSRC, or complete some of your own that you'd like to do. And ideally what we'd like to see is for this work to be helpful in developing your application for the NIHR Career Development Award. So it might be that you help out with safety projects, develop your skills, and those projects may also align to your own interests and be part of the application that you're preparing. You'll have access to our relevant team meetings and events, and myself and Maria and Louise will be involved in creating lots more events over the next year, training seminars, other development opportunities for you, and you'll be invited to those within the PSRC. And nationally, I mentioned before, we've got PSRCs across the country, and they often come together to launch training and engagement events, and you'll be invited to those via SafetyNet, which is our national group that brings all these together. And of course, many members of our PSRC have backgrounds in health and care that might be helpful to you as you think about your future career. And again, we can provide that mentorship and support for you when you think about that. So after you've finished your placement and hopefully submitted your application, we can continue, and your supervisors will continue to support you through that. And you'll also be invited to provide your feedback on what it was like to complete the placement, and also present towards the end about your experiences and what you've achieved. So here is a list. I'm not going to go through every single one. This is on our award webpage, but these are all the different teams within the PSRC who you could come and work with. And we have specialists in all these different areas. So there really is huge variety in terms of what you could get involved in. Around, for example, cultures of safety, medication safety, that's the team I work in. Academic career development, suicide and self-harm, behavioral science and behavior change. So there's so many different areas. And if you go on our website, you'll see that there are staff emails attached to all these different areas. And you can go on the web pages to learn about our main research themes and the work that we're doing. So how do you apply for the award? So it's really important before you apply that you have a look at our web pages and find out more about the work that we're doing, and reach out to a particular team co-lead or more than one co-lead to explore a potential placement with them and discuss, which career development award you might use the time to apply for. Because this is really important, because as part of your application, we'll need you to identify who your supervisors are going to be within one of our teams. We also need you to name the specific career development award that you're going to apply for, and confirm that you've had some initial discussions around what your placement's going to look like. Okay, the application form is online. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to save. So what we advise you do is download the form, complete it offline, and then when you're ready to submit it, just copy and paste the writing to the online form and then click submit. I know it's a bit of faffing around, but hopefully just by downloading the form, completing it offline, it'll be then easy to submit closer to the deadline. So of course, it's really important to act quickly now, especially with us all being busy as the festive season approaches and people start to go on leave. Act quickly, seek out potential supervisors, have those conversations about a placement and your application and what future NIHR Career Development Award you'd like to go for. So what are the timelines? So you can see here the deadline for applications is the 7th of January 2025. And then after the applications close, we have a period of time where we internally will review them. And then we'll notify people week commencing the 20th of January whether or not they've been successful to interview. And if they have been successful, interviews will then take place on the 3rd of February. And the idea is that anyone who's successful, their placement with us would start no later than the 31st of March 2025, because we need to sort out applications, we need to sort contracts out and make sure that we award the funding by the end of the financial year. So what are we looking for when we assess your applications? Again, this is on the website under the FAQ section towards the bottom of the award page. So of course, you need to meet the criteria for eligibility. It's vital you have support from your line manager in writing. You've named the career development award you'll apply to if you were successful with your placement. You would justify to us why you want to apply for a placement with us and what research you would like to pursue. Name your supervisors and how long you want to work on placement, so how many days per week and what length of time. So many of these questions on the application form are very short and multiple choice style questions. Some, though, do require a little bit more text for you to explain things to us. We also want you to tell us about your plans for training and public and community involvement and engagement. Okay, so all this is on the website. So it's really good that you have those conversations with your potential supervisors early. Okay, so I think that's it for the main presentation.